Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I have the WWE Ultimate Edition Kurt Angle action figure. I say this basically every time I unbox a figure, but I was not going to get this figure because I thought it was the same sculpt as the previous Kurt Angle, and I was not into that sculpt. I thought it was way too big for Kurt. I thought it looked ridiculous on Kurt. I thought that whole gimmick that they did with the soft goods singlet was stupid. I did not like that figure. But after looking at this figure a bit more, I finally understand that this is not the same sculpt. It's slightly different, very slightly. It's still not the Kurt Angle I want. I desperately want to get the wrestling machine Kurt Angle. I think that would be a much better ultimate figure. I think it would look good. We've only gotten it one time and it wasn't that great, so I think an ultimate version of that figure would be fantastic. But for now, we're still stuck with these haired versions of Kurt Angle, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and get into it. Starting with the front of the box, you do have the window packaging right here, showing you pretty much everything you get. Kurt Angle up here at the top, Ultimate down there at the bottom. On the side of the box, you have Kurt Angle and all his Kurt Angle-y goodness. Kurt Angle on the back of the box, of course, in figure form and in real life human form. You can see the very large disparity between the two. You can see he's much smaller than the figure portrays, significantly so. This, honestly, I think the Triple H body that came out not too long ago would be closer, just not as ripped. It's much more of a clean, smooth, like regular build, whereas this is like fucking Ultimate Warrior. Anyways, a little bit of a bio right here. No Way Out 2000. You know, a time into his reign as, I guess, champion, double champion. For, you know, the figure comes with championships, obviously. Anyways, height, weight, stuff like that. He's from Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. I did not know that. Anyways, now we're back to the front of the box. We can transition to the figure. Okay, so this is pretty much everything you get. I'll set this guy aside so I can first talk about some of these accessories, including, let's start with the hands, actually. Those are a little bit less exciting. We have two of these more choke slammy style hands. That's interesting. I wonder why we would have hands like that. Two of these plainer finger hands, which are nice to see in the collection. You don't get a whole lot of those, unfortunately. I guess, I don't know. I don't use them, so I don't know why it's unfortunate. Two fist style hands, which is of course fantastic to have. The yelling head sculpt, which looks fine. Those eyes look demonic though. The face part of it looks okay. I can only imagine how good that would look bald. And then a more stoic, neutral, Kurt face, which looks bizarre. And again, the eyes are like overdone. I don't know what they're doing with these eyes. The actual figure itself is right here. Of course, he has most of the accessories on him because that's how it's supposed to be. You have the two Olympic gold medals. I believe I used to have two of these in this diorama somewhere, and I think my cat probably got a hold of them. But yes, I don't know. It's nice to have these, but honestly, I've had so many Kurt Angle figures that I have too many of these. And then, of course, two of the championships, the Intercontinental and the European Championship. Both look very good. I do love this Intercontinental Championship. And then the European one is a championship I haven't had too much of. I think it looks pretty good as well. Now, the figure itself, like I said, I was worried about it being the same sculpt as the original Ultimate Edition Kurt Angle, which I have right here. And as you can see, they are definitely not the same sculpt, but it's not as big of a difference as you would think. I mean, they are very similar. The chest is probably the main area that's different, but it's still incredibly wide. This guy is still way wider, but this is way too wide for Kurt Angle. Way too ripped, way too bulky. This, hot garbage. I would throw it away if I didn't spend $30 on it. The other thing I thought was new, I guess I'll bring them back for one more second. I thought these knee pads were new, but I guess seeing them on here, they are not technically new. they're just bad. They're bad knee sculpts. I thought they were fresh and new because I saw them on a Grayson Waller. I immediately cut them off and made that figure 10 times better. Unfortunately, with this Kurt here, I can't do the same thing. I would replace it with blue knee pads if I had any, but blue is not a very common knee pad color, unfortunately, so I can't exactly just replace it with any old knee pad. So I'm going to have to live with these disgusting, horrible knee pads until eventually, we get better ones one day. As far as the attire goes, you do have this nice American flag singlet. I think it looks pretty decent. I do prefer this sculpted on singlet to the soft goods one. I was a bit harsh on it. I did say that was bad. It was a good idea. I understand going for something like that. I just think execution wise, it didn't work out. I do prefer this, however. I much prefer this. Either one or the other, not both. And I don't know why they keep doing it for Mr. Perfect. And the Mr. Perfect one's even worse because it's fucking the rubberized soft goods. So that one you can even mess with more than once before it starts to break. This, though, like I said, I prefer, even though sculpt-wise, it's still not correct. This might actually be pretty good for the bald Kurt Angle, but this younger Kurt, who is a little bit more lean, not it. Definitely not it. So you have the American flag, you have the blue knee pads, which I said are terrible, and then the white boots. All of that stuff looks pretty decent. Of course, these are pretty different, these elbow pads. As we saw on the other figure, these are just the regular basic elbow pads. These are the blue ones. These have a little gap right here, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't think it's the first time we've seen this either, but it is something you don't see often just because, I don't know, maybe it's a harder one to mold, I guess. You have the tattoo back there, USA, all of that stuff looks pretty good. In terms of articulation, I don't know. Let's see. The head sculpt can go back, basically not at all, forward to about right there. Swivel side to side, rotates all the way around. Arm comes up to about right there, rotates all the way around, back and forth. Double jointed pinless elbows comes up to about right there. Wrist goes in, wrist goes out, wrist goes all the way around. Ab articulation, wonk, wonk, side to side, goes back to about right there, forward to about right there. Swivelage, top and bottom swivelage, so you have both of those. Of course, the legs come down to give him that 90-degree bend, and then of course they come up to about right there. Nice big boot if he did a whole lot of big boots. I don't think he did, actually. Swivelage at the thigh. Did I do the splits? Splits, looking pretty good. Drop down style hips, as you can see. Double jointed, I believe. Yep, pinless knees comes up to about right there. Honestly, for as bad as these knee pads are, they don't hinder the figure too much. Swivel at the boot, all the way around. Ankle goes down, ankle goes up. Toe hinge. Oh, it kind of locks, so it doesn't go down. That's interesting. And it is pretty loose right there. Besides that, that's actually, I do like that boot cut quite a bit. And that is the Kurt Angle Ultimate Edition action figure. My thoughts. So, it's not accurate to what Kurt Angle looked like in this era. But, sorry, just gonna fix this real quick. It's supposed to be in there. I do think it's a lot better than the previous Ultimate Edition Kurt Angle. Significantly better. Is it still a very good figure? I like it. I do like the stuff it does. It comes with a ton of accessories, which is much better than the last Ultimate I opened, which was the Tiffany Stratton. You have a lot of good stuff here. The championships, both of these are very good. One of these you don't see too often. One of these you don't see too often, but you do see a little bit more often than the regular old Intercontinental Championship. So I guess that's that. Of course, the Olympic medals, I know it's just the same one twice, but still, if you don't have a Kurt, that's nice. And then the heads and hands, all of that stuff is great. The figure itself, I think, articulates well. I don't like the ankles being too loose, but besides that, everything else is pretty solid. So I can't complain too much there. It doesn't have the same issues that I've been having with all the previous Ultimate Edition figures, which I think is a pretty good sign. My main issue is it just doesn't look like Kurt, especially this era of Kurt. The head sculpts are a little wonky, the sizing's way off, but as a figure, I do like it. I do think it's going to be a pretty decent figure to have in my collection. I'm very happy with what I have here. I think overall, it's a solid figure, and I'm not dissing it from where I stand right now. Not dissing it. Can I be excited for the next figures to get announced? Absolutely. I am 100% waiting for a better version of Kurt to replace this one. But as of now, this is the standard bearer. This is the one that's like it's beating all of the current Kurt Angle action figures. I think it beats every Elite. I think it beats the other Ultimate. I think it's a decent Kurt Angle figure, and I mean, I guess you only have room to grow from here. I think there's a lot that they could do to improve it, especially if they implement the Tiffany Stratton cut, which is what I'm calling it now, down here. I think that would help with articulation, which I think this figure could use a little bit of help there. I think it would help with the sizing issues. I think it could help with the likeness issues. If we get a better head sculpt, we could be golden with these Ultimate Edition action figures. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All the things YouTubers ask you to do, just do it for me as well. I will be back with another video, hopefully, very, very soon. Bye.